Welcome or welcome back to my little creative corner of the internet. In today's video we're gonna take a tour in my completed Paperblanks Sketchbook that I worked in from summer of 2019 until recently, so the summer of 2023. So let's get into it. I completed this sketchbook with you all on the channel and did take you along on the last journey and quite a few in between. I will leave a link to all the sketchbook videos, art journal videos that are on the channel. So if you want to see any particular spreads and their process, there will be a link in the description down below, but I will also let you know. First, let's talk about this sketchbook. It's absolutely stunning. I so much love the look of this. And the little magnetic clamp is kind of perfect to hold everything in place and to keep the sketchbook from being way too bulky. So I really enjoyed that. It has 144 pages unlined and they're completely full. I did not exclusively work in this sketchbook. This was the sketchbook I had at home most of the time, so it took me like these 4 years I already talked about to fill it up completely. So we started with my tarot card, or one of the early versions of the tarot card of the Magician I made. Many might know the later design I did on a sweater as well. So here's a little sketch of a person, some random journaling I did. Another portrait. I really liked to sketch portraits onto book pages and make them more interesting. Here I glued a bit of like random doodling and notes-taking stuff together that is quite personal. So here was my first attempt at a digital drawing. So this was the first art piece I did with Procreate, and I must say I evolved since then. It's from 2020. Here is my travel journal page from Scotland. This is also a travel journal entry I did on the YouTube channel. I will leave a link in the description down below. Here's another page of my travel journal from Scotland. I think I have a video about this as well. I must check again. So here's another little kind of art journal, travel journal mixture from the same trip to Scotland. Here is just a random portrait. I kind of quite often leave the eyes a little bit empty. I don't know why. It's just a bad habit of mine. Here is an autumn-themed art journal spread. That is definitely a video on my channel. As well as this portrait. I really like this quote. Here I started the drawing of a fawn, but never completed it, kind of. One of my favorite pictures I took in Scotland. And here is one of my tarot cards again, the Moon Tarot card. Here was the first sketch I initially made for my drawing on a jean jacket video where I painted the Moon Tarot card for the first time. And then later I glued in the redefined digital version of the tarot card. Next, here is just a bit of a rip-out and a simple collage page I did. I just really like this saying. Kind of my sketchbooks are also somewhere where I collect different things that interest me. So it ends up in one of my sketchbooks or art journals. That's why I always kind of flip-flop between naming my journals an art journal or saying it is a sketchbook. It's something of both, kind of. So here we now enter 2020. This was at the beginning of the pandemic when I thought like, okay, now is the time to fill up this sketchbook. But obviously it took me 3 more years to do so. But first I thought, okay, now the rest of this sketchbook would be 2020. So here is just a portrait. And then here I filled out concept sketch for one of my art school projects, but this was something I did way later, so I had to keep those pages empty and then came back to them. I did this quite a few in the sketchbook. It's kind of, I skipped random pages and then later came back to them. Here is another one of my art journal with me projects I did for the YouTube channel as well, where I filmed the whole process. It's my diary in quarantine video, where I did an art journal spread based on that topic. So I will leave a link in the description down below, as well as a little info card thingy. Here I just wanted to make an interesting background, but then I never came back to do anything with the background. So here onto one of my first ever digital collages. I also did a video about that as well in the little info card and the description down below. As well as this flower doodles page. I did a video about all the 50 flower doodles and how to draw them. Here is another one of my digital collage things that was part of the video from earlier. Here is another two of my portraits. I really like how they turned out. I did do a wash of ink over the pencil portraits to keep them from smudging. It's kind of a good technique to keep the pencil on the page. Next is another portrait, this time with fine liner and a little white paint drawing on black ink. Sometimes when I feel stuck, I just want to get the page to a bit of a different color and then start off from there. Another one of my digital portrait drawings. I really like to include old maps into my art journaling. So here, this was a bit of a November inspired gloomy day art journaling spread where I just wanted to illustrate the inside and the outside. Now we come to my pages for the Academia series I created on the channel. Here is the Light Academia one. I really had fun creating those. Maybe I should also go back and do some more. Let me know in the comments down below if you would be interested in seeing some more of the Academia series. I think you quite enjoyed them because they are some of my most watched videos on the channel. Maybe it would be time to do some more. But I feel like the most common things like Academia, Dark Academia, Chaos Academia I already did. Here's the Dark Academia one. As well, linked in the little info card and the description down below. The Chaotic Academia. This has to be me at the moment. Definitely. All those cups of coffee. And the Art Academia. Most people would probably say that's me, but they don't know about the amount of coffee I drink. And all the chaos, maybe. But, yeah. Here's the Autumn Academia. I really, really enjoyed this kind of series. Here is another just simple journaling and art journaling spread for me. I really enjoy gluing stuff down, using old maps and some stamps. Here I did a photocopy of an autumn leaf onto some transparent paper to glue it on top of my writing. I quite enjoy how this turned out. It's kind of a fun way to include some more heavy writing and just cover it up a little bit. Here's a little poem for October and a random drawing. This is after Christmas of 2020, so maybe that's the point where that's the point where I stopped in 2020 with using this sketchbook, so we didn't fill it up. Quite a bit was left. Yeah, it's fine. It's 3 years later and now it's finally ready. Some simple line drawings I did. Here I did this kind of challenge with drawing different shapes and orbs and then fill them out with something that fits. I kind of did a leaf theme here. Here's one of my absolute favorite pages in this sketchbook or this art journal, whatever type you want to call it, I don't know. It's a mixture of both. So some digital collages, and it's also, like always, a video on my channel, and I did do a study of a hand and cut it out. Here's a little quote: "You own it to yourself to explore your purpose." Here are just some like witchy inspired doodles, some random sketches, notes for video, and some random face drawings. Another random face without a nose. Sometimes I set myself the goal to come back to it and then I never do. Here I did draw some of my art supplies that were laying around me. I tried to do a mandala, but kind of failed. Maybe I want to try doing mandala kind of patterns, digital. Some more eyes. When in doubt, when I have no idea what to draw, I draw eyes. Here is one of the pages I did the very last now to finish up this sketchbook. Simple portrait and some colorful bubbles with a quote. Here I did another typewriter quote. I really like to typewrite stuff and glue it into my journal. I really liked how this tree doodle turned out. Here's another one of my random collecting stuff and drawing some eyes and random portraits page. It's one of my finishing the sketchbook pages as well. So this video is already linked. So yeah, here I did glue in a drawing I did in 2015, I think. For when I tried to apply to art school, I did kind of do this drawing for some perspective, but now it was just laying around because I never got to use it, because I never finished it. And I thought it would be interesting to just cut it up and include it in this sketchbook. Here's another one of the pages I did just recently to complete this journal. I really like how this turned out. This is as well another random, recently done page. You can also check out the process in my getting this sketchbook ready, as well as these random just doodles. I really like how this page turned out, and I feel like I should do more just pen on paper, board doodling stuff. It kind of makes me happy, and I like how this turned out. And I also always like it when I see those kind of spreads from other artists or content creators, so I really should do more of it. Here is another portrait drawing, like when in doubt, I draw a portrait. It's kind of messing. And a quote: "You are not as bad as you make yourself out to be." Here are just some random portrait doodles from 2021. As well, one I didn't complete and wanted to go back to, but never did. Here I tried some white Posca pen on ink, but I think the blue ink wasn't really dry yet when I did use the marker on it, so it went white-blue. Yeah, it should have been white, but it turned this light blue, but I think it turned out really, really pretty, even though it wasn't my intent to make it that way. But that's what sketchbooks are for some happy little accidents, or just accidents, just to try out stuff and experiment. Here is one of my digital drawings I printed and made into a big sticker, just with another little quote. Here also another idea how to create an interesting background for your art journal. Here I did start a little sketch and wanted to complete it, so I did glue on a little page expander to finish the drawing, kind of. Just sometimes I don't really map out the idea beforehand and just go onto it, and the proportions doesn't fit on the page of the sketchbook, and that's when I like to add those little things. And here's another mandala pattern I tried to create with some stamps. I think it's turned out pretty, but it's not that I like the outcome so much that I did it again or something. Here just some random sketches and some more YouTube notes that aren't that interesting. And here's the end of this little sketchbook. I really liked filling this sketchbook out, and I really liked the paper of the Paperblanks books because it's quite sturdy. It does really take marker quite well. We can't look on here we can see it. Like, you can kind of, if you look through it through light, you can look through the page, but there is no bleeding in any kind of way. I really enjoy this kind of paper. It does get a bit bulky if you add too much water, but I try to not do that too often and just keep it to a few pages per journal, and it's fine. Like I already said, I really like the closure of it. So, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to be a live part of me filling out my next sketchbook, make sure to hit the subscribe button to join me on this creative adventure.